Welcome back to another episode of Trading Card History, where we dive deep into picture collectibles' rich journey from the 1800s to today. From baseball to Beatles, from football to fashion, and from pre-war to Pokemon, we will be covering every flavor of cards, the stories around them, and the people that made them happen. Let's resume. Part 4. Bubblegum Takes Over, 1928 to 1940. Up until the late 1920s, chewing gum was merely a substitute to chewing tobacco and was marketed mainly to adults in fairly bland flavors. In 1928, Fleer Corporation produced a variety of consumables such as candy for children, gum for adults, and some other odds and ends. Gum was stiff. It would slowly disintegrate over time and would leave a white film in the mouth of the user. A Fleer employee named Walter Deemer began tinkering with different concoctions and eventually stumbled upon a mixture that produced a gum that was durable, left no film in the mouth, and was flexible enough that bubbles could be blown. It was a bland grayish-white color, so Deemer added the only food coloring he had laying around: pink. This bubble-blowing gum was fun and colorful, and management realized its potential to be marketed towards kids. The gum was named Double Bubble. Shortly after this gum hit American markets and gained popularity, a Canadian company named Gowdy started producing their own bubblegum, claiming that they invented it first. There is no definitive proof as to which company developed the recipe first, but it is generally agreed upon that Gowdy copied the Fleer gum and capitalized on their success. These two companies clashed in a heated chewing gum rivalry. Telling a similar story as the tobacco markets, these two companies looked for ways to market their product over the other. Fleer started producing comic strips to include in their gum, while Gowdy chose trading cards. The first set of Gowdy trading cards for their bubblegum packs was a set of Native American chief portraits. This set of gum packs was advertised under the name Indian Gum and was overwhelmingly popular amongst kids. Over and over again, the market has shown that it wants trading cards. Gowdy did not wait for the opponent to catch up. The following year in 1933, they changed their marketing from Indian Gum to Big League Chewing Gum and rolled out one of the most historic baseball card sets since T206, the 33 Gowdy. The post-T206 era of cards was plagued with off-brand, low-quality cards, a lack of completeness in releases, and overall poor fanfare around the hobby. All of this changed in 1933, which is one of the most important years in trading card history. The country was in the midst of the Great Depression. The national unemployment rate was 25%, the highest it has ever been in history. Baseball ticket sales were taking a nosedive, as people could not afford to go to games. In the prime years of some of the greatest players to ever hit the diamond, such as Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, seats were empty. The 1933 Gowdy set was one of the few ways that fans experiencing hardships could connect with the sport outside of reading the newspaper. Gum packs were a penny apiece, so kids could still afford them despite their parents' situation. Once again, trading cards come to baseball's aid to save it during a dark time. With the 1933 Gowdy set, it was the first complete set from a legitimate company in a few years and brought many collectors back to the space. This 240 card set was vibrant, recognizable, and iconic in name, with Big League Chewing Gum. The producers were smart in creating multiple cards of the bigger stars, such as the 4 different Babe Ruths in the set. This created more of a demand to keep buying packs because kids naturally wanted to collect them all. Gowdy was ambitious and wanted to branch out from baseball. The 1933 set was not just a crucial year because of the Big League Chewing Gum set. Later that year, they released 2 more monumental sets: the 1933 Sport Kings set and the 1933 Worldwide Gum Ice Kings set. 1933 Sport Kings featured athletes from a variety of sports, but most notably, some of the first basketball cards and first football cards. There were the occasional odd football or basketball cards before, but in 1933, they were curated in an official and mass-produced set. There were 4 basketball players in this set: Nat Holman, Ed Watcher, Joseph Lapchick, and Eddie Burke. These were key founders of the young game of basketball, as Ed Watcher invented the bounce pass. The 3 football players in the set were also crucial to the history of football. They were Jim Thorpe, Knute Rockne, and Red Grange. Red Grange is the most famous player of that era. He dominated college football, an absolutely unstoppable force in the new game. In a particular game against Michigan in 1924, he scored 4 rushing touchdowns in the first 12 minutes of the game, scored a 5th in the second half as a running back, threw for a touchdown as a quarterback, and intercepted 2 passes as a defensive back. The team won 39-14, with Red scoring all 39 points. At the time, professional football was seen as second to college, filled with just some old players who wanted to relive their college glory days. Red Grange changed that, becoming the first player to be actively recruited to professional teams. His signing with the Chicago Bears legitimized the NFL as a whole. His card, alongside basketball legend Ed Watcher, who invented the forward pass, are 2 of the most crucial cards in each sport's history, making the 1933 Sport Kings set immortalized forever. Gowdy also produced the first hockey set in 1933, called the Worldwide Gum Ice Kings. This set, which was mainly sold in Canada, was a full set dedicated to hockey. This set featured the first card of Howie Morenz, who is widely considered the first star in the sport. He led the league in goals scored and points for 7 straight seasons, becoming the first player to have their jersey retired, and also one of the founding members of the Hockey Hall of Fame. Another important event in 1933 was the emergence of Bowman as a card manufacturer. Their set that put them on the map was the 1933 Horrors of War set that featured real and current events from the Italo-Ethiopian War, the Spanish Civil War, and the Second Sino-Japanese War. These cards were gruesome, showing blood, gore, and war crimes such as innocent women and children being killed. The cards featured the slogan, "To know the horrors of war is to want peace." While having a good message of being anti-war, they received immense attention and criticism for their graphic images, which is exactly what Bowman wanted, as it resulted in even stronger sales. Keep in mind, all of this happened in 1 year. In 1933, Gowdy released 3 of the most important card sets in the hobby's history, and Bowman made a huge splash in the market. Gowdy seemed to have a dominance in the sports card market, but companies such as Fleer and Bowman were hot on their heels. Other card makers were making sports cards, such as the 1935 National Chickle football card set, which was the first card set made up entirely of football players, but nothing could catch Gowdy. When the entire country was crumbling, factories were empty, New York was quiet, and the future looked bleak, Gowdy was a rocket ship. Trading card demand started brewing across the pond, however. Cards had been released previously in Europe, but they did not start gaining demand until the 1930s. The major producer in the European market was a cigarette company called John Player. John Player did not focus much on sports, but had a variety of sets throughout the 30s, from cars, kings and queens, and a set called Famous Beauties, which is exactly what it sounds like. These sets were still being sold with tobacco and just had more adult focuses. Still, however, it shows how the spread of trading cards began proliferating around the world. The late 1930s and early 1940s brought us some of the first pop culture cards. The 2 most notable sets are the 1935 Mickey Mouse set and the 1940 Superman set. Both IPs were in their infancy at the time, with Mickey Mouse being about 5 years old during its card printing, and Superman being 2 years old for its own. Disney and DC Comics both saw the marketing opportunity through trading cards and did not hesitate to put their characters in as many gum packs as possible. The popularity of these two IPs are not fully due to their gum card printing, but it was one of the most notable ways that these companies familiarized the public of their character outside of the primary material, cartoons for Mickey and comic books for Superman. Cards were a stepping stone for a lot of people into these relatively new forms of entertainment. The trading card hobby was once under a stranglehold by baseball cards. Most attempts at non-baseball themes were previously met with little success, but the market was changing and variety truly became the spice of life.